Now, Arc Raiders has been out for a little while now, and for me personally, I still find myself stumbling around a little bit trying to figure out what's actually going on. But the big thing here is that this game hides way more than it tells you. And in this video, I'm breaking down some advanced tips, maybe some hidden mechanics and tricks that the game really never explains. Stuff that I wish I discovered a little bit faster. And I promise you, after watching this video, you're going to walk away knowing at least one or two things you had absolutely no idea about. Or maybe just a little bit of a refresher. But regardless, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and let's dive straight in. Now, when I first loaded up into this game, something simple, yet maybe something overlooked, was the workshop tab. Yes, we need resources to unlock and level up the benches, but for whatever reason, something didn't click in my brain that if you go to the workbenches, you click track resources, it will track the resources, or when you're in game and you're looting items, it will show a little eye icon of the items you need to collect to be able to level them up. Again, for whatever reason, I just never pressed this button. So if you haven't done so already, make sure to press the track resources button and your life will be so much easier. Something small that even myself putting a ton of time into didn't actually manage to press the button for whatever reason. So as shown, when I go to loot, you can see the I resource, meaning I'm tracking it, and it says tracked for blueprint. That means I needed to level up one of my workbenches. Now my next tip is about reducing the amount of noise you make. Another useful tip is instead of going through the metal detector and it going off because of all the metal on you, you can actually smack it a couple times. And when you go through it, it actually won't make any noise. It's a pretty useful tip if you're trying to be a little bit more sneaky. Now, staying on topic of destroying the metal detector so you reduce noise, you also have cameras that you can shoot out so they can no longer detect you and make the beeping noise that notifies players and other creatures in the game that you are coming from that direction. An extremely useful tip. As you can see, it's going off. I shoot it, and no longer goes off. Now, another tip that I always find extremely useful, maybe some people have covered it, maybe not, I haven't really seen anybody, is that how many players spawn into a raid. This is a big question, just so you know what to be expecting. From my research, there isn't a fixed number of players, but most raids have around 21-ish players, with the number varying due to new players spawning in up to the 18-minute mark. And when you're playing solo, it feels like players are just coming sometimes out of left, right, and center. New players can join mid-match, leading to frequent encounters and third-party attacks. So let's talk about initial and late spawn. Raids begin with an initial group of players spawning in, and the new players can join mid-match with late spawns ending around the 18-minute mark. Typically, the next wave of players will spawn in at the 21-minute mark and then end around the 18-minute mark, from my own research and what my friends have been telling me and doing their own research as well. But from doing a little bit more research about how many players actually spawn into a match, on the back of a PlayStation box it actually says 21. Now whether this number is truly 100% accurate, you can assume maybe 20-ish people spawning in different waves. So it's always a good idea to keep your eyes peeled looking for new raiders. After learning and figuring out this number, it's definitely changed how I approach the game now. And if you didn't know that, make sure to drop a sub and like the video if you want to see more Arc Raiders content. If you find yourself in the down state and you feel like just surrendering and giving up, but you're right next to an extraction that's already open, don't give up. All hope is not lost yet. You can actually crawl your way into the elevator and call the elevator down so you can easily escape. Now, I didn't know this for the longest time. I put a ton of hours in the game without knowing any of this. I always ended up surrendering right when the elevator was open. I didn't watch any videos. I didn't think anything of it until I actually one day decided to crawl in, see if I could do anything, and lo and behold, I could press the button and actually escape even though I was downed. Now, I think this is something, whether you've been playing the game for a while now or you're just picking it up in general, is something you need to know. It can realistically turn nothing into something and save your run entirely. Now, this next portion all has to do with movement. There's a lot of movement you can do in this game. For instance, if you find yourself at a elevated position like so, just the practice range, but pretty much on every single map, if you find yourself at a lower ledge at the bottom and you want to get down faster, all you have to do is jump across, either hold space or tap space, if I don't mess it up, and grab the ledge. So for instance, I fall down, I hold space, and I grapple and mantle to the side. I don't take any damage, and no, I'm at a lower elevation. Another thing that you can also do that a lot of people forget about or don't seem to really use is when you're using a zipline and you're trying to go down the zipline, and you're kind of not trying to waste a lot of time. You're trying to make yourself an easy target. You just jump and then tap E. If I don't miss it again, I am struggling today. But one more time, I jump off, right? And then I press E and I grab it last second, don't take damage, and it just makes me less likely to die to someone, you know, camping below trying to shoot me. So it's something that is definitely useful, at least in my opinion. Another thing you can do is the same mechanic applies when using a zipline that goes across something. I tap E, I go off, and you just keep jumping and pressing E. It makes yourself harder to hit, and it lets you go a little bit faster than just using the zipline in general. I think it's always best to try to make yourself as hard to hit as possible, especially when using stationary things like zip lines or mantling or anything like that. Staying on the topic of doing the mantling, you can also break your fall if you combat roll. If I don't mess it up, like so, and you carry the momentum like that. This by the second you land, you tap your roll button, whatever it might be. For mouse and keyboard on default, it's Alt, but of course you can always change it. That is some movement tech that I think everybody should know. Very easy. And again, the whole jumping while mantling, or jumping off something and mantling, or holding your mantle button, can be applied to a lot of different things. For instance, if you find yourself trying to jump across like this, you can go back and mantle again, trying to reposition to yourself. Maybe people will not expect. Using different types of movement to get a surprise on someone is an extremely useful and beneficial tool that people 9 times out of 10 sleep on, and you can get away with it a ton of the time. But now, as players have been playing the game a lot more, people are starting to understand, you know, at least jumping around and mantling on, you're expecting those angles. So I always try to find different angles people will have no idea about and try to go from there. Birds to the right. That's another thing you should be mindful of is when birds go off, typically the birds are only activated by players that run up to them, and they're usually more secluded areas. Now, one last tip I want to talk about before I round out this video is the melee. The melee has 2 different attacks if you're using, you know, the crowbar on 3. For mouse and keyboard, if you press left click on your mouse, it will actually do a horizontal swipe. You see this? Horizontal. Useful for breaking metal detectors and other things. But if you actually press right click, or I guess on controller it might be right trigger, maybe left trigger, I can't tell you specifically, but you actually do a vertical swing. This is useful for things that are high up in the air, maybe a camera, maybe some type of turret is in the way. By right clicking, you can reach it higher, and adding a jump, you should be able to reach those turrets. And of course, you can always do the left click for the horizontal swipe. Something that a lot of people forget to talk about or even mention. Is it useful? Maybe. Can it be applied in certain situations? 100%. There's different ways to use it, but I think just knowing it now is definitely really beneficial to you if you find yourself in one of those situations where maybe you didn't think you could use your melee weapon at all. Maybe this can help you out, especially if you have the one perk that lets you destroy turrets instantly with a melee attack. Knowing that you can do the right click and the left click, definitely super beneficial. But anyways, hopefully this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form. And if it has, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can see more and exciting content every other day. And if you want to see more Arc Raider videos or streams, let me know in the comments down below. It's the best way of telling me. But regardless, I hope you have a safe and fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one.